When he finally found love with Rebecca, everything changed. Suddenly, I went from being his little sister to being nobody. When my wealthy brother died and left me nothing in his will, I smiled at the funeral, because what his greedy wife and kids didn't know was that he had already given me something worth far more than money. Before I tell you what changed everything, drop your city in the comments. I want to see how far this story travels. My name is Elena Rodriguez, and I'm 68 years old. My brother Marcus was 15 years older than me, and after our parents died when I was just 12, he practically raised me. He worked 3 jobs to put me through college, never married until his 40s, and built a successful construction business from nothing. But when he finally found love with Rebecca, everything changed. She had 2 teenage kids from a previous marriage, and suddenly I went from being his little sister to being nobody. The last time I saw Marcus alive, he seemed different, worried. He pulled me aside after Sunday dinner and said, "Elena, if anything happens to me, remember what I taught you about the old oak tree." The old oak tree. I hadn't thought about that in decades. When we were kids, Marcus and I had a secret hiding spot in the hollow of this massive oak tree behind our childhood home. We'd leave notes for each other, hide Halloween candy from our parents, dream about our futures. But Marcus died 3 days later from a sudden heart attack. And at the reading of his will, Rebecca and her kids inherited everything. The business, the house, his savings. I got nothing. Not even a mention. I sat in that lawyer's office, watching Rebecca's children, now adults, smirking at each other. One of them even whispered, "Good riddance of the freeloader." Have you ever felt invisible in your own family? Tell me in the comments, because that's exactly how I felt in that moment. But I remembered what Marcus said about the oak tree. So that evening, I drove to our old neighborhood. The house had been sold years ago, but the oak tree was still there, ancient and massive. I found the hollow, reached inside, and felt something wrapped in plastic. My hands were shaking as I pulled out a weathered envelope with my name written in Marcus's familiar handwriting. Inside was a single key and a note. "Elena, you were always the smart one. Box 247, First National Bank. The combination is the date we buried our first pet, Whiskers. Love, Marcus." The safety deposit box contained something that made me gasp. Not money, something much more valuable. All the original documents proving that Marcus had secretly transferred 40% ownership of his construction company to me years before he met Rebecca. Legal papers showing that I was already a co-owner of everything. When I walked into that lawyer's office the next week with those documents, Rebecca's face went white. She stammered, "This is impossible." But the lawyer confirmed it. Marcus had protected me legally long before his illness. I wasn't just his sister, I was his business partner. And according to the partnership agreement, I had the right to buy out the remaining 60% at a fixed price, or dissolve the business entirely. I had 2 options: take everything, or show mercy. What would you do? Someone who called you a freeloader suddenly needs your signature to keep their inheritance.
I chose mercy, but with conditions. I kept my 40% share, but allowed Rebecca to buy me out over 10 years, with fair market value plus interest. Her children had to apologize, not to me, but to Marcus's grave. And 10% of the business profits now go to a scholarship fund for kids who lost their parents in Marcus's name. Sometimes the best revenge isn't taking everything. It's showing someone who you really are. Marcus taught me that family isn't just blood, it's who shows up when it matters. Who has shown up for you when everyone else disappeared? Share your story below. And if this touched your heart, subscribe for more stories about family, forgiveness, and the unexpected inheritance we all carry, the lessons from those who loved us most. What city are you watching from? I read every single comment.